This is In the Paint, casting an eye on the world of hoops on 1116 SEN, Melbourne's home of sport.
Welcome to tonight's edition of Wildcats News. I'm Stephen Way, and I'll be your host for this evening.
Well, I'll tell you what, you might get the host role here at 1116 SEN. Wearing many hats is Stephen Way, who, of course, was top scorer for the Perth Wildcats at Challenge Stadium last night. He had 22 points as they beat Cairns 79-64. And Perth also playing, of course, in New Zealand on Thursday night, lost to the Breakers 83-74. But he's been a terrific acquisition, the young Queenslander for the Wildcats. He's been good enough to join us. G'day, Steve.
How are you, mate?
Going very well. A hosting role, maybe a career in radio or broadcasting beckoning there?
Yeah, I think the Wildcats have done a pretty good job this year with their Wildcats News broadcasting, so I've just tried to do the best I can.
Now, are you the permanent number one host?
I am, yes, and we occasionally get some guests on there. We've had Ricky Grace, Andrew Vlahoff, Ben Thompson, a few Wildcats greats, so it's been good. And
fairly hard-hitting stuff?
It is, yeah. It's tough stuff. Just read from a piece of paper and try and look good. So.
Yes, that's what we try and do behind the microphone. Now, mate, you're a young man from Queensland who's made a fair trek across the country to take up a role on the Perth Wildcats roster this year. How did that come about?
Mate, to be honest, I basically grew up playing basketball, went through the Aussie pipeline as a junior, consisting of the Australian shooter sport for a few years, and then from there I went to college, and I was fortunate enough in my second year of college, we travelled, the University of Utah travelled to Australia, and we played against various teams, Brisbane Bullets, Perth, and a few ABA clubs. So during that time I managed to play a pretty good game against the Perth Wildcats and also the Brisbane Bullets, and basically when I made the decision to come back to Australia, they were both keen on me. So I guess it was just a matter of timing and good fortune. And
you've been getting some increased game time. Rob Beveridge has certainly been putting a fair degree of faith in you. That must make you feel pretty good as a young player trying to work into a team and its chemistry and fitting in. But good to see the coaches right behind you.
Yeah, that's right. It's always good as a player when you've got the coach's confidence. So he's basically just been trying to pound home that he wants me to keep being aggressive offensively and play solid defence, and the rest will come. So I think with his confidence, I've been playing pretty good basketball.
There's certainly a lot of people, Steve, wrapping up Perth, and you've had a nice run of home games. You had, I think, 3 or 4 away early, and that's always tough to be on the road. And lost Paul Rogers, but Luke Shins has been obviously a great recruit. Sean Reddy just stepped up as the captain into that sort of, the key leadership role, but we know that his points have been very consistent over the last few years. It must be a good feeling within the team. You're leading the way. You've got a terrific home support over there at Challenge Stadium.
Yeah, no, it's great. Perth is a great place to play basketball. People think the basketball's been damaged a bit in the past couple of months around Australia. However, you wouldn't know that that's the case in Perth. At the moment, we're basically trying to protect our home record. We've done a great job so far this season, winning 6 of 6. It's just a matter of trying to steal a few away. The league's proven this year it's a very difficult league, and it's going to be very, very tough to win on the road. So if we can manage to steal a few on the road, that'll be great.
You mentioned your time at the AIS. Nathan Jawai, who's obviously getting a crack at the NBA at the moment. Paddy Mills. Extremely exciting. Joe Ingles, we saw him close hand here in Melbourne the last 2 years playing for the South Dragons. So you've been able to really mix in good company coming through the ranks. Do you still have a really close association with those guys, even though you're a long way from them?
Yeah, I do, mate. It's hard not to have great friendships. Basically, living with each other for two and 3 years. They're all great mates of mine, and still keep in contact with a few of the boys, and I was fortunate to play with them again in the off-season with the Boomers, so that was great.
Excellent stuff. Next for Perth, I think you've got the Gold Coast, which will be on the Gold Coast next Saturday night, and top of the table, you're back on the road, but you obviously go on the road with some nice confidence. How do you, from a team point of view, tackle the Gold Coast? And Chris Anstey and I were discussing them before. They can be extremely good some nights, and other nights perhaps can't put it all together. It's been hard to read their form line, but what's the thoughts internally at Perth?
Gold Coast is a tough club. They're very talented. Athletically, they're very gifted, and they're a team you've definitely got to watch out for. We've got to make sure that this week's preparation is really, really on lock, and I think if we do that, and basically just work on the things that we've been doing up until this point, play our defensive game, and hopefully our offense evolves from that. I think we're in with a good shot to win the game.
Yeah, looms is a really good clash. Steve, great to catch up with you. First season at the Wildcats, doing some nice work, leading the points last night, and continued success in your development as a player over there in the West.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Stephen Way, and you can hear him on the Perth Wildcats website there with a weekly podcast.